Good morning again. I'm Corless Smith. I'm your worship associate today, and on behalf of Reverend Teresa Soto, Vincent Rains, our producer, Jeffrey Melcher, Alex Haider-Winnett, and all other members of the worship team, we are glad you're here, so welcome very much. Please turn off your camera while we begin our service and light our chalice and candles. This will allow us to begin with a quiet space. We will turn our cameras on to greet each other later in the service. Please note that we are recording this service, so if you don't want to be in the recording, please keep your camera turned off. For best viewing, we recommend that you make certain you have the up-to-date version of the Zoom app on your computer.
Hi, my name is Debbie Kaplan, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this church, and we're so glad you're here. Welcome. We are an intentionally multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive religious community. You are welcome here. If you're new to our community, we invite you to fill out the guest connection card that you'll see in the chat. We want to be able to support your exploration of what's available in our community that interests you and how you might participate. So welcome. Now, before we begin our worship service, we do have a few reminders. Immediately following the service, there will be a workshop on the future of religious education. Remember, religious education is for all of us, not only young people. It's an increasingly important topic, and this is a fun brainstorming workshop. It's led by our outgoing interim director of religious education, so please come. Put on your thinking hat and also bring a playful spirit. Also, today after the service, there's a newcomer welcome in a breakout room. It's your chance to say hello and ask questions about our community, and it will be hosted by Emily Stoper. When you come to the end of today's service, if you're interested, look for a breakout room pop up, and you'll be able to go there by following that. And now, here is one of our bridgers, Sophie Kaiser, to lead us in the chalice lighting.
We light this chalice, a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, in part as a celebration of COVID-19 vaccines that brings us closer to being together in person, and we commit to the health and safety for everyone, leaving no one behind. We now light this candle in the recognition of the Black Lives Matter movement and in recognition of this systemic racism that tries to deny the full humanity of Black people and commit to dismantling it with daily action. And now here is a favorite Why Are You song written by Ghanaian drummer Soul Amarifio. The arrangement we sing from our teal hymnal is by Isai Barnwell of Sweet Honey in the Rock.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we're there, we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going. hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. We'll know we're there. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 We'll know we're there.
Now let's unmute our microphones and greet one another. Hi, Sophie.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Morning.
Greetings.
Good morning.
Good
Morning, everybody.
Hey.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Emily.
Tamara.
It's a beautiful day in the
Laurel.
neighborhood.
Emily, hi, Greg.
Hi,
Nice
Mary.
seeing all your faces.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, MJ.
Claudia.
Hi, Claudia. Hi,
Hey,
Deborah.
Nicole.
Hey, happy
Hello.
birthday.
Happy
Hi,
birthday
Alan.
to you.
to everybody.
Hi, Hester.
Hi,
Mine's
MJ.
tomorrow. Hi, Debbie.
Morning.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, Marcy. I don't know you, but you look
Hi,
gorgeous.
Emily.
Hi, Evelyn.
Claudia. Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Hi,
Marcy.
Laurel.
Hi,
Hi,
Laura.
Mary Jane.
Hi, who's
Hi,
Mary?
Mick.
Evelyn, hi. Corless, hello to you.
Hi, Evelyn.
Well,
Hello,
friends,
Sally.
Hey,
Hi.
Oh,
this is my favorite part of the service, seeing all your faces and hearing your voices. And I look forward to when we are able to do this again in person. But we are gathering back for one of our special rituals that this congregation has every year, the UU Bridging Ceremony. This ceremony has been practiced for about 25 years, or maybe even longer. It is a ritual where we recognize the transition from youth to young adulthood. There is no set ritual or liturgy. Every community does it a little differently. And this year is even more different. In the past, our congregation would create a tunnel using our arms spanning the middle aisle of Hamilton Hall. The bridging youth would start at the back of the sanctuary near the narthex with their childhood peers. They would then process down the aisle to the chancel, where the ministry team and young adults were waiting for them. A metaphorical bridging from childhood to adult. There, they were welcomed by their new peers. This year, we recognize two of our shining stars, Sophie and Elizabeth. Both have been active parts of our religious education program over the years, and I know that we are all very proud of them and their accomplishments. Now I invite our Children and Family Ministry Coordinator, Nicole Fitzhugh, to share a few words about our Bridgers.
I've had the privilege of knowing Sophie and Elizabeth for many years now. I think I first met Sophie at Chalice Camp when she was in 4th grade. And I remember Elizabeth from about the same time when she and her family came to First Unitarian for the first time. Elizabeth was one of my first secret buddies back in the day and had always been an active member of our spirit rooms, doing arts and crafts, hanging out in the halls with other kids. I especially remember how welcoming she was for the family of one of our interim ministers, Reverend Ed. There was always a great gang of laughing girls when they were here, and Elizabeth was a big part of that. Sophie has been a Chalice camper, a Chalice Camp CIT, a Chalice Camp counselor. This would have been her last year with us. And over the last couple of years, even better, Sophie has been a valued member of our Children and Family Ministry staff, hanging out in the nursery with Dorothy, chilling with Edison, chilling with Elliot, and just being a great friend to all of our littles. Elizabeth joined our congregation after she did coming of age and has been a big part of our high school youth group. I don't know if you know that she is a very talented singer and has shared her voice all over the world with the Piedmont Children's Choir of the East Bay. Something that has always impressed me about both of these Bridgers here today is an inner core of calmness, the kind of calm that comes from knowing your strengths, the kind of peace that they've both shared with others as carers, as friends, and as fellow UUs. And I know they'll carry this with them as they go forward.
Thank you, Nicole. We really appreciate your words and all that you have done this year to help support our families during this difficult time. We have asked Sophie and Elizabeth to prepare some words. Sophie is with us live now, and Elizabeth cannot join us but has sent a video. So Sophie, if you could please share your reflection.
Hi, thank you both so much for your kind words. It really means a lot to hear that coming from you guys and to reflect on being a part of this community for as long as I can remember. I've learned a lot growing up in the Unitarian Universalist community. I've learned patience, respect, and kindness. I've been taught what peace and love truly meant and how to use them to make the world a better and more comforting place. I've learned that it's okay to not be perfect, and the most important thing you can do for yourself is to try your best. When I was younger, my family attended the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. Later on, I started going to Foucault when I joined Coming of Age. By that point, my family hadn't been going to church for a while, and I didn't really know what I was jumping into when I signed up. But when I got there, I knew that I'd found something I could hold on to. I reunited with my memories of safety and comfort within the walls of the church. While I continue to move forward in my life, I will always hold the memories and connections I have made with the UU community very close. The wisdom I have gained from my time in the UU community will be a part of each and every experience I will challenge along my path. Every person I have met in that church, whether it be those who I've known since I was young or those I just met once or not at all, will always be special to me. I appreciate each and every one of you for the guidance you have given me, and your presence in this Zoom call means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. And now we're going to watch a video from Elizabeth.
Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Fisk. I'm sorry not to be able to attend the service live, but I'm very excited to be able to participate, even by video. The First Unitarian Church of Oakland has been a part of my life for the past 7 years. From my very first visit, I felt accepted and comfortable. I loved singing during the service. I was eager to be part of the diverse congregation, and I was also extremely excited about the air hockey table. I made so many friends at Children's Chapel. I have wonderful memories singing with the choir, learning about the Unitarian Universalist faith with Lila, breaking down social problems, talking excitedly with friends over various arts and crafts, and after all that was done, running downstairs to dig into the weekly after-service potluck. The friends that I made during Children's Chapel continued with me into OWL, the Our Whole Lives sex education class, and the Coming of Age spiritual exploration class. We connected deeply and grew together, learning about ourselves and the world around us for both of these programs. None of this could have been possible without the adults and mentors I have met at Foucault. From my first secret buddy, the adults of this church have made me feel heard, respected, and safe. They always expressed a genuine interest in my life and passions. The teachers I met at Children's Chapel, OWL, and Coming of Age provided me with unending guidance and support. The First Unitarian Church of Oakland not only provided me with a tight-knit community, but led me through personal and spiritual exploration. Through Coming of Age, I was given the freedom to rethink my one-sided views of God and religion. I was able to move from believing in the spirituality and a God that was imposed on me and very limited to dictating my own beliefs and even writing my own spiritual credo. In the process of reflection on my time in the church for this bridging ceremony, I reread my credo. I emphasized 2 main points: belief that the earth is salvation and that people deserve empathy and respect. My younger self embraced my spiritual uncertainty and stayed open to future change. I hope to carry on this respect and appreciation of uncertainty and change through the rest of my life. I am forever grateful to the First Unitarian Church of Oakland for facilitating my spiritual journey instead of dictating what my spirituality should be. Though I have not been to church much in the past 4 years, I will take many of the lessons I learned with me in the future, and I know that I will always have a community to return to. I am grateful to be staying in the Bay Area for the next 4 years of college at UC Berkeley, and I hope to drop by and visit eventually and see you all in person. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we're about to do our bridging ceremony. There will be words on the screen, a responsive reading where I will start and you will respond. I will ask you to please turn on your microphone, even though Zoom will muddle our voices. I'm sure the energy will be heard and felt by our bridgers. I will also tell you that we will be sending care packages to both Sophie and Elizabeth as they prepare for their journey into young adulthood. We will be sending them a chalice, a pin, and a book about Unitarian Universalism. So if you will please join me as I begin with the words on the screen.
You boil me some water so I can.
Oh, no.
Elizabeth and Sophie, we recognize your accomplishment.
Your accomplishment.
We are proud of
We
you.
are proud of
No matter where life takes you, UU Oakland will always be your home.
We look forward to seeing where life takes you next. Trusting that we have the skills and knowledge to thrive.
We wish you both joy.
We wish
Safe passage.
We wish you easily mended hearts.
Filled with
Yes.
But most of all,
we wish you
Safe passage.
May we have safe passage, oh, safe passage. May we have safe sister. Safe passage on your way, sweet children. Safe passage on our way. May we have safe passage. Safe passage. May we have safe passage. Safe passage on our way. May we have safe passage. Safe passage. May we have safe passage. Safe passage on our way. Safe passage on our way, brother. Safe passage on your way, sister. Safe passage on your way, sweet children. Safe passage on our way. May we have safe passage. Safe passage. May we have safe passage. Safe passage on our way.
Today we're here to celebrate the transition of two of our members. They're going to a new phase of crafting their lives. We know they will encounter change, and we hope their resilience stands them in good stead. For living creatures, such as ourselves, change is hard. We know that change is always happening, and that try as we might, there's not much we can do about it. Sometimes we try hard to resist it. We try not to accept it. And we ourselves are changed by that attitude into wooden reactionaries. I had a birthday last week. All my life, I've really enjoyed my birthday. Besides the kind attentions of friends, I somehow just enjoy the day and feel good. This year was a little different. I had to go get my twice-yearly shot to stave off osteoporosis. It didn't seem like my friends were noticing my birthday. Wow, no one loves me. And I took a walk and a bird pooped on me. I was later told that this is a sign of good luck in some cultures, but that's not how it felt at the time. So I was blue. And that this is a sign of, and mostly I knew it was about getting older, or just recognizing how old I am. And then I'm a lot closer to the finish line and a lot farther from the starting point. My back hurts and I wonder if it will ever stop hurting. And the date of the women's retreat was changed and now I can't go. The next morning, I was blue when I got up. I've known for a long time that I'm not good at feeling and dealing with my emotions. So sometimes I just freak out. Entering into a wild state of turmoil that seems to have no exit. In my family, my mother was allowed to be angry, but that was it. No other negative emotions were allowed. Not only was I not brought up to pay attention to my emotions, I was actively encouraged to ignore them or discount them. I often heard, "You shouldn't feel that way." Or if I cried, my dad would say, "Now don't fall apart." Or, "You have to be like a duck and let it roll off your back." But the thing is, I'm not a duck. I'm a human. I have emotions. I guess my parents, raised in working class families during the Great Depression, for them, emotions were not nearly as important as eating and working so that you could eat. Emotions got in the way. It was nose to the grindstone all the time. Or maybe emotional ignorance is the peculiar result, sad result, of our national religious tradition that validates suffering in this world with the promise of an eternal reward in the afterlife. In many cultures, suffering is taken much more for granted and even celebrated. For example, in some places in Mexico, during Holy Week, Santa Semana, people emulate the suffering of Jesus by crawling great distances on their bloodied hands and knees. Ooh. In popular parlance, there is a disapproving derogatory term, navel gazing. That refers to people who focus on the self and emotions too much. It's a term used by people who don't approve, often because they think that such navel gazing detracts from attention to the outside world. In this view, nasal gazing is related to self-centeredness, which is also decried. We're often advised that we'll feel better about our own woes if we focus on helping other people. I find that this can be, and in fact, a very useful therapy. But it can also be another distraction that prevents me from actually feeling my emotions. I wish I'd been able to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as a child. Fred Rogers showed how to accept emotions and provided ways to live with them as natural parts of existence. So the first thing I needed to do about my birthday blues was simply to feel them, to feel the pinch, to feel the pain, the gloom at my core. Ooh. I try to get out of pain as soon as possible, but how to do it while accepting the present feeling, surrendering to it, greeting it, perhaps being curious about it, thinking, this is sadness. Where does it live? What are its features? What's its texture? While I was doing my morning yoga routine, I started to moan. I moaned what felt like something not amenable to words. My husband had left earlier, so I knew I wasn't going to disturb him or discombobulate him with my moaning. I felt bad, and this moaning was an expression of it. It was how it sounded. I'm a little embarrassed to tell you that I moaned for quite a while, and it was a relief. I wasn't just fine again, but I was relieved, and it felt like the blues were standing by in the whole array of emotional states, not demanding so much of my attention. I'm not offering myself as an example of anything more than how one person with difficulty acknowledging her emotions dealt with a case of the blues. If you wrote this to Dear Abby, she would no doubt say, "I feel for you, consult a licensed therapist." That's a good idea too, but since change is a constant and we tend to resist it, we need ways to hold the feelings it brings with it. One more thing that might qualify as advice to our bridgers. Years ago, when I went off to college, I didn't give any thought to how my parents might feel about that, particularly my mother. Here, our family's lack of attention to emotions was again operative. I didn't think that my parents might be sad at the change that my absence would bring them, that there might be an emptiness for them. It didn't even occur to me to have sympathy for that. I lacked imagination. So my advice to those going away isn't that you think a lot about your parents, just that you could think about them some, and later on, you'll be glad you did. And finally, and very importantly, remember, the best things in life are free. The very best part of being alive are available to all of us, and we can learn to cultivate ways to increase our pleasure in them. There's nothing grander than the sky, nothing more noble, gracious, and variously beautiful as a tree. There is friendship. Be a friend and have a friend. There is the feeling you get from making something in the present and over time, developing skills. There is being conscious of flowers and of human character. And these are only a few of the freely available best things of life. Give yourself to the world completely in every moment, being sure to rest and play as you go through your day and through your life. I think the whole congregation will join me in saying that we admire your courage, talent, and application. We're proud of you and heartily look forward to knowing you as an adult. We're glad that you're taking us to the future. Remember, we're behind you as we go forth. As a rule, go slowly, looking around you, and sometimes run, and sometimes dance. May you have safe passage, you very dear young women.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Friends, let us join together in a time of reflection, meditation, and prayer. Spirit of love, life, and justice, you who go by many names, we are grateful for the love that binds us together even when we are apart. We recognize the growing day and the shrinking night as we move into a time of plenty, of harvests to come. We lift up the community of West Oakland affected by a garbage fire yesterday, recognizing that our waste is never gone, but affects people. We lift up those who are struggling, suffering, dealing with illness. May they find comfort, wholeness, and peace. And we celebrate with graduates and bridgers and those who are trying new things. We look to the peacemakers and the justice seekers, those on the border, those on line 3, those working to birth a new world, to do the work of the world that we dream of. We pray for our politicians and our decision makers, that they work with peace, justice, and equity in mind. Friends, let us share in a moment of stillness and silence. For all these prayers spoken, and those that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, we say Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. Now, when I was growing up, one of my favorite children's books was called The Monster at the End of the Book. You may be familiar with it. The Sesame Street character Grover warns the reader there is a monster at the end of the book. And with each turning page, Grover warns us with more and more fear, anxiety, and immediacy that we are getting closer to the monster at the end of the book. He tries to bargain with the reader. If we stop now, we will never have to encounter the monster. He cajoles us to stop turning pages. He tries nailing down and tying the pages to prevent us from turning them. We get to the penultimate page. Now Grover is begging us to not turn the page. We all know that we are about to be face to face with a terrible, horrible, fearsome monster. We turn the page to find Grover, our lovable, furry, kind, and prone to anxiety monster friend. After all this fear and work to avoid the end of the book, we find the monster was with us the entire time. In fact, he was the one trying to prevent us from getting to the monster the entire time. The monster Grover was avoiding was himself. And with a sigh, Grover says, "I told you and told you there was nothing to be afraid of." Now, as a young person who was sometimes fearful of the unknown, I got a certain amount of comfort in knowing that Grover's fear was all for naught. All that work, stress, and fear for nothing at all. The monster we feared was ourselves. Sometimes we fear the end. We worry about the monsters we will have to face. And like Grover, we beg and bargain with ourselves, with each other, with the divine, to do whatever we can to avoid facing the end. And for good reasons too. Saying goodbye can be incredibly difficult. It can be hard to say goodbye to loved ones who are dying. Relationships and communities that have overstayed their usefulness. Comfortable jobs. And sometimes we choose to say goodbye because we are leaving for greener pastures and new opportunities. A new job, a better quality of life. Sometimes we make the difficult decision to leave for self-preservation, a divorce, a falling out with a friend or family member, walking away because staying is just too hard. And sometimes we have no choice but to belatedly acknowledge a loss. We may not know what is coming next or how it will come. The next new thing might take a risk of faith to find. What if the next steps involve monsters or demons? What if that monster is me? In every religious community, we find a creation story, an explanation of who we are and how we got here. And in nearly every religious community, we have a story of end times, how our time in the universe will conclude. In the Hindu tradition, all of creation is the dream of Vishnu, and existence will end when he wakes. In the ancient Norse traditions, the world will end when the sun is swallowed and the earth is plunged into endless night. And in the Christian tradition, Jesus returns to earth to usher in the eschatos, the end of times. These ancient myths all point to a universal truth, that nothing can last. During the Christian depiction of eschatos, we have an apocalypse. Now, when we hear this word, apocalypse, what images arise? Maybe multi-headed beasts, or armies of the dead, horsemen bringing destruction and pain. Maybe these are images you grew up with. Maybe these are stories you actively worked to leave behind and avoid. The process theologian Catherine Keller reminds us that these apocalyptic visions are sometimes called the revelations of John of Patmos. The title Revelations is fitting, as the Greek word apocalypse literally means a revealing or unveiling. An apocalypse is the proverbial lifting of the veil that obscures our understanding. Keller tells us that an apocalypse is not destruction of the now, but the revealing of something new. The end of something old gives us the opportunity to find something new. So at this point, I would like to invite you to find a comfortable position. Find a way that allows you to feel grounded. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it, and out through your mouth. Let's try that one more time. In through your nose, hold, and out through your mouth. Now, I want you to imagine yourself in a forest. Look around you. See the trees and the underbrush. You may be in a deciduous forest of the Northeast, or a conifer rainforest of the Pacific Northwest, or a steamy southern forest, or our own local redwoods. There is no wrong forest. Notice the branches and leaves above. Hear the birds and squirrels call. Feel the cushion of the soft, rich earth below your feet. A strong wind blows. Leaves fall to the ground. Branches break. Maybe an old tree falls in the distance, turning into a log. Those leaves that fell join with the years of accumulated matter that have begun to decompose, making a rich topsoil for mushrooms, insects, snakes, and tree roots to thrive. In the distance, you can smell the faint scent of a forest fire. It is burning the underbrush, taking the old and dry wood, allowing room for new things to grow. It starts to rain. You find refuge under the roots of a fallen tree. And you notice the bugs that are aiding in the decomposition of the log. They will make a nice meal for a bird or a mammal. You can see mushrooms growing in the hollow of the log, helping to make a rich humus for the forest floor. And you see here that life does not exist in the forest in spite of death. Quite the opposite. Life exists because of death. All of creation exists in a beautiful and delicate balance of life and death. The forest beauty is not in defiance of decay, but dependent on it. When you are ready, return to this space and open your eyes. We are constantly in the midst of end times. We are wishing farewells and goodbyes every day, and yet we are also in the midst of Genesis, of creation. Letting go of the old allows us to accept the revelation of the new, a never-ending cycle of Genesis, eschatos, and apocalypse. Genesis, eschatos, and apocalypse. Genesis, eschatos, and apocalypse. A beginning, an end, and a revelation of a new beginning. It can be overwhelming. Keller tells us that we are constantly standing on the edge of chaos, living in what she calls the pandemonium of the apocalypse of our lives. The question becomes, how do we stay present and aware of the changes? Let us find new ways to release rather than cling to the old, and faithfully welcome the new and revealed. As you use, we know that nothing is promised beyond today. We cannot promise anything on the other end of death. Every day is an opportunity to do something new, to build something great, to pull the arc of the universe closer to justice. As justice-seeking people, we are moving closer to the promised land. Much like the hymn we sang, Woyaya, we are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Each day we are alive, we are given an opportunity to witness creation, conclude the end, and reveal the new. Immediately following the service, I will be hosting a workshop on the future of religious education. Here at the end of the pandemic lockdown, we are witnessing a revelation of what church can be. And in the coming years, we will need to make sense of what has occurred. The ways we sacrificed for each other, the ways we took responsibility for community, and the who, what, and where we lost. As we look forward, the church and the world we dream of is the work we are to do. So I invite you to do the dreaming of what lifespan religious education can be for our church. Much like the bridging we witnessed earlier today, endings bring beginnings, and beginnings reveal something unseen before. So with all this chaotic swirling of creation among us, how do we move through this world? Friends, we do it together. We support each other in the grief of saying goodbye to endings. We celebrate in the success of new beginnings, and we revel in the revealing of new realities. And we do not do it alone. Some days it is difficult. We are like Grover in The Monster at the end of the book, and we do not want to go any further. We fear the monster unseen in the distance, and when that happens, we rely on the assistance of our community to help us move forward. We need each other to balance on the edge of chaos and watch the swirling pandemonium of apocalypse around us. To help us move forward toward the unknown, to help us carry our burdens until we are ready to put them down forever. To help us witness the beauty of new Genesis. To help pull back the curtain and reveal something new. We need to be co-creators of something not yet seen. And for that we say, may it be so. Ashe, Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Alex. That was lovely. Earlier, I mentioned that the best things in life are free, and I'm not going to go back on that. Surely our church is one of those best things, and it is freely available to everyone. But that doesn't mean it doesn't need money. If you have money, please give some of it to the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, so we continue to have a place for our beloved community. Our community deserves it. Think how much you can afford, and then notice here how you can give your gift of lifeblood for the church. And will you join me in saying our commitment to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community. We dedicate ourselves and these our offerings.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Esta lucecita tiene que brillar. Esta lucecita tiene que brillar. Esta lucecita tiene que brillar, brillará, brillará, brillará. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Friends, I invite you first to hold our space as we extinguish our chalice. But not the light of beauty the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. I invite you to reach out physically or mentally or emotionally. Hold a bond with someone in this community. For even though our bodies are apart, our spirits are made whole together. Friends, we are on the verge of something new. Something is being revealed to us every day. It is ours to witness, to nurture, and to do. Whether it is Bridgers or re-entering the world or any sort of new things, new life that we are witnessing. Let ours be work that we do with love. So now, friends, our worship has ended, but our service has just begun. Let the people say amen.